Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. What do New Jersey drivers think is the biggest problem with the roads, and who should fix that problem? Luckily, there's a poll for that. Michael Klein is the interim executive director of the William J. Hughes Center for Public Policy at Stockton University. Welcome back. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
So let's start in the beginning of your poll.
Yeah.
How do New Jersey drivers feel about the roads they drive on?
They think they need a lot of repairs. There's 80% of our respondents said, we gave them a scale of excellent, good, fair, or poor. And fair and poor is what showed up the most. 80% with regard to the roads themselves. 63% thought the bridges and tunnels were fair or poor. And really interestingly, almost 40% actually have a concern for their safety when they go over a bridge or through
because of the infrastructure?
Yeah. So that's.
So I assume they support an infrastructure bill.
You know, they do. We asked specifically about the federal infrastructure and the $200 billion proposal that's been discussed in Washington, and there was a 80% support for that.
Now, are they willing to pay higher taxes to support the bill?
There's the rub and the great the tension in New Jersey. We would like the service, but in fairness to our respondents, it wasn't that they're not willing to pay. We asked if they were willing to pay more. You know, gas taxes are at over 40 cents a gallon right now in New Jersey. It's the price has gone up twice. The tax has gone up twice since 2016. A 23 cent per gallon increase in 2016. Another 4 cents just October of 2018. So I think our respondents think they are paying at the pump, literally, and they think it's time for our elected officials to take the resources that they've got. We did do the poll in fairness to Governor Murphy. We completed the poll right before he announced over $160 million from the Transportation Trust Fund for New Jersey's roads to over 537 municipalities. So
that was we didn't have on the new budget, right?
Yeah, and we didn't have a chance to ask about that, but they do feel like that there's not being enough done, and that they've paid.
Well, it's interesting that so you said to them, were you willing to pay more? And they said we're already paying more.
Yeah,
they're paying more in the gas tax, and that money's supposed to go into transportation.
48% said that they would not support paying more. You could add up the folks that said they would pay more with the ones that weren't decided and get almost to 50%. What we did ask was the mechanism to pay more. They definitely don't want to pay more in taxes. They were open to the ones that would support paying more were open to the idea of increased tolls. And interestingly, we asked about tolling on roads that don't have tolls now. So they're open to maybe increases on the Parkway and the Turnpike, and maybe some roads now
that's fascinating, because that's a controversial proposal that has been proposed to make some roads that aren't toll roads now, and it seemed like it was a non-starter. Mm-hmm. But there's support for it.
I think so. Minor, for sure. I don't want to give you the idea that there's a majority out there, but among the choices we gave the folks that were nice enough to respond to our poll and pick up the phone, there was, I think, about 20%. Again, that's of the 48% that said yes, that's the way we conduct the poll. Would you support an increase? And then if they said yes, we would give them some choices.
So the problems with the roads, the crumbling infrastructure, if it is crumbling, I shouldn't phrase it that way, but if it is crumbling, or at least they see it that way, do they see that as the number one problem on the road?
Potholes were number 2, over 30%, and we had almost half of our respondents said they've actually, within the last 3 years, hit a pothole that caused enough damage that it actually blew out a tire or caused damage to their car. So that's a really significant finding, I think, from our poll. And they're really concerned about distracted drivers too. That was actually the number one when we asked what was the biggest problem on the roads, aside from traffic itself. But their greatest concern was the drivers around them.
Do they think enough is being done? Did you ask that about distracted drivers? Because I know we have a new law, but it doesn't seem to help the problem.
Interestingly, we asked if they would like more enforcement on the road with regard to speeders and distracted drivers, and I think they'd like more self-regulation. And we did ask moments of honesty and asked them to evaluate their own driving, and a lot of our respondents said they at least occasionally drive 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. They themselves, about 40% of our respondents, about 42%, said that they drive at least occasionally distracted. So they recognize they're part of the problem, but they'd like people to, they didn't specifically ask, or they didn't agree with the idea of having greater police enforcement on the roads.
So they're self-aware.
They are. And we did ask about the nuance between aggressive driving and real road rage. And only about 25% think, at least occasionally, that they've experienced road rage, but about a third of the drivers think that they themselves are maybe driving too aggressively.
When you do a poll like this, is there a hope that you're going to accomplish something?
It's a good question. We are, the Stockton Polling Institute is part of the William J. Hughes Center for Public Policy, and we do try to affect policy that way. We try to take these findings, and we're grateful to you for giving us some airtime about it, but we absolutely hope that elected officials will pick up on our findings and think about how to change policy based on what over 600 respondents to our poll have told us what they think.
And has that happened? Have you received phone calls from office holders where they said, that's interesting, could you send us the poll, I want to use that?
Not with regard to this particular poll, but we've been around for over 10 years, and John Frugian is my great colleague who runs the Polling Institute, and we actually absolutely have had elected officials, certainly the legislators, ask us about the state issues that we pulled on in the past, and are very interested in the results.
Great.
Thanks.
Maybe this will fix the roads. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Michael Klein, Interim Executive Director of William J. Hughes Center for Public Policy. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, we'll talk about Superstorm Sandy once again and its effect on victims 6.5 years later, when Jersey Matters comes right back.